Hey Cassie, thanks so much for taking time out of your crazy busy day to talk with me about the Achievement Center's Wave 2 face-to-face protocol. I've been out and about and have talked to some of our parents and families, and it seems that many of them have questions about how this face-to-face thing is going to shake out. So, I took it upon myself to jot down some of their questions and was hoping that you could check them out today and provide some answers. What do you say?
Sure, Bob. I'm more than happy to help our parents and caregivers understand the changes that will be coming along with the next phase of our face-to-face service offering, which we're calling Wave 2 at the Achievement Center.
Excellent. Here's the first one. Does my child have to start face-to-face services?
No. If your child is benefiting from telehealth services and you are comfortable with participating using phone or video, then you can continue with those methods. What we are concerned about in Wave 2 are the children and the families that are not benefiting from telehealth or are having difficulty accessing our services through some form of technology. These would be the children who are struggling, and we want to be there for them. Children who are reporting or demonstrating a big decrease in their mood or an uptick in other uncomfortable emotions like anxiety and anger. Children who may be communicating using aggressive or destructive behaviors and are at risk of having to move to a higher level of care or even going to the hospital. Children who may now find themselves involved with the Office of Children and Youth or maybe even the police. These are the youth that we feel may really need face-to-face services, and we want to help them stabilize.
That makes sense. Okay, here's the second question. How do I know if my child is eligible for face-to-face services?
Great question. We've established pretty clear requirements that determine which children should be considered for face-to-face services. We look at 3 general areas. The first one is the level of need. Is your child's staff member telling you that your child is showing signs of regression or is at risk? Are you seeing a decline in mood or functioning with your child? Is your child at risk of being hospitalized, being in harm's way, or being a danger to self or others? The second area is use of services. Have you or your child found it difficult to participate in telehealth? Have you or your child not seen any real benefit from participating in telehealth? And then lastly, we're looking at setting. Is your child being excluded from daycare or other community activities because of his or her behavior? Your child's staff member is probably the best person for you to be discussing whether or not your child fits those requirements. I would strongly encourage you to have an honest conversation with your child's clinician about the possibility of face-to-face services if you are even suspecting that your child might meet any of those requirements.
Good advice, Cassie. So here's one from another parent. If my child's therapist comes into my house wearing a mask, does that mean that I have to wear a mask too, even in my own home?
I know that this sounds really intrusive, but yes. In order to keep you, your child, and our staff safe, as well as the countless other children and families that we'll be seeing each day across the region, it is required for all persons who will be present during a home session to wear some form of face covering. If you don't have a face covering, our staff will be prepared to provide you and those participating in the session with a disposable mask. Of course, there are some exceptions to these mask requirements, and families can absolutely reach out to their staff to discuss any situation that may prevent the wearing of a face covering. We are also asking families to complete our pre-visit health screening with a staff member before each session. These are just a quick 5 or 6 questions that your staff will ask you over the phone before they come to your house. And in keeping with CDC guidelines, we are also asking you to practice social distance and thorough hand washing during our home visits.
Okay, so here's another one about face-to-face in the home. If my child's staff feels that my child needs face-to-face but I don't, can I refuse it?
Yes, of course. The Achievement Center will always honor parent choice. Face-to-face is not something that we can force on you. Please be aware, though, that if the situation arises, we will make every effort to continue to keep the dialogue with you open and try to find alternatives to face-to-face. We will do this because we are committed to keeping children safe both physically and mentally. We will do this because it is our mission to help children and families. And we will do this for as long as it takes for things to change out there in the world, whether it's a drop in local infection rates or the discovery of a vaccine to make face-to-face a safe option once again for you and your family.
Sounds like you and your team are in this for the long haul, which is great to hear. Okay, here's another one for you, Cassie. How are AC staff keeping me and my family safe from the spread of COVID-19?
As we move into our wave 2, our staff will be out there and obviously at a higher risk to come in contact with COVID-19. To keep them safe and to keep you safe, we have adopted precautions based on the best scientific evidence from the CDC and other infectious disease experts. Our staff are all required to complete a pre-work screening before they begin work each day. As part of this screening, there are questions about symptoms, potential contact, and travel to virus hotspots, as well as a temperature check. Answering yes to any of these screening questions or registering a body temperature above 100.4 degrees will automatically alert their supervisor and our Human Resources Department, who will order that staff to remain home until tested or otherwise medically cleared. All of our staff are equipped with mobile infection control kits that consist of disposable masks, KN95 masks, gloves, sanitizing wipes, and hand sanitizer. Our staff are also required, when possible, to wash their hands thoroughly before, during, and after each visit, as well as required to practice social distancing while they're in your home.
And here's a related one about your agency building. How are my child and I going to be safe when we enter your building for appointments?
Another great question. We are going to great lengths to follow CDC guidelines that are designed to keep people safe when they come into a medical or healthcare facility. Our agency-based staff must go through the same screening and temperature checks each day as our staff that are out there in the community. All of the staff in our buildings are required to wear face coverings. Additionally, we have started enhanced cleaning protocols that involve the sanitizing of doorknobs, door handles, restrooms, and common areas. Individual therapy rooms are also thoroughly cleaned between sessions, including wiping down table surfaces and door handles, as well as sanitizing any toys or therapy materials that were used during the session. And of course, our staff practice frequent hand washing and social distancing while in the building.
Thanks, Cassie. Here's a related one. Will there be different expectations from my child or my family when we come into the agency building?
Yes, we are asking our clients and families to help us in our efforts to keep everybody safe when they come in for appointments. We are asking all children and families to complete a pre-appointment health screening with a temperature check at the receptionist desk when they enter the building. For that reason, and to minimize the number of people in the building at any one time, we are asking you to limit the number of people accompanying your child to just one person whenever possible. And we're also expecting anyone coming into our building to wear a face covering, to wash their hands before the session, and to practice social distancing. For any clients and families that do not have face coverings, our staff will be prepared to provide you and those with you a disposable mask.
Impressive. Looks like we're getting near the bottom of the pile. How about this one? What happens to my child services if either one of my family members or your staff get quarantined?
For you and your family, quarantine could come about because someone in your household may have been tested and been found positive for COVID-19. Unfortunately, if that happens, face-to-face services will have to stop immediately, but your child's treatment will not need to stop. We can continue with telehealth until the quarantine is lifted. Pretty much the same will go for our staff. If they are quarantined, they will not be able to provide any face-to-face services until their quarantine has been lifted. Unless they do get sick with the virus and are too unwell to work, they can continue to see your child virtually through telehealth. If they are too sick to work though, there will be another opportunity available to you and your family, such as having your child temporarily assigned to an alternative staff, or if you choose, to take a break from services while you wait for your regular staff to be medically cleared.
Thanks, Cassie. Okay, here's the last one. Where can I or my family get more information or other questions answered about face-to-face services from the Achievement Center?
There are a lot of great ways to gather more information or to have your specific questions answered. Your first and most direct source of additional information is your child's staff member. If they are unable to assist you or answer your questions, then the next step would be to ask them for their supervisor's contact information. Our management team has been actively involved in the development of our pandemic response protocol, so they should be able to provide answers to most of your questions. If by chance you're having difficulty contacting the supervisor, or if the supervisor cannot assist you, then I would suggest calling our agency ombudsman, Lisa Fickenworth, at 814-616-0569. You can also check out our website at achievementctr.org for up-to-date information on the agency's response to the pandemic and resources for you and your family.
Well, Cassie, as always, the Achievement Center seems to be leading the way in balancing safety with its mission to help children and families. Thanks so much for taking the time to answer our parents' questions.
Thanks, Bob, for the opportunity to share all this information with the Achievement Center family. In times that seem so uncertain, we want to assure folks that we are committed to helping children and families achieve. We've been reminded so many times over the last several months during this pandemic that our children, families, and our staff are so resilient, and that brings us all great hope for the future. Please know how grateful we are to each person that has entrusted us with their child's services or treatment. We look forward to partnering with parents and caregivers to offer safe, quality, healing care to the special youth in their life now and in the future. You can definitely count on us. Thanks again for the questions, Bob, and to all the folks out there that took the time to learn a little bit more about our second wave of face-to-face services. Be well, everyone.